from Ken. Actually, I think it's from his wife. Baptism, its role with new believers, and should it be a continual practice as a mikveh? No, it should not be a continual practice as a mikveh. We know that from Ephesians 4:4-6, which is in your show notes, by the way. It says, there is one body, one spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all. The reason that I think that he actually means one baptism here and not a metaphor for being saved is because I think that he's responding. My father's doing work on this right now, so I don't want to steal his thunder. I think he's going to write a paper on this. But my father's theory is that he's actually trying to combat the idea that you had to be baptized into Yeshua and then converted to Judaism.
Right, that's a really good way to put it.
And so, how did you convert to Judaism? You either got circumcised or you got pricked, and then you had a mikveh. And so what Paul says is, no, there's only one mikveh. There's only one mikveh, and that's into the Messiah. So I think that there are different times in a person's life when they have mikvahs, or baptisms, if you will. You can use that word for the other mikvahs as well. When you get married, it's traditional to have a mikvah. When you become the head of a school, it's traditional to have a mikvah. There are other times, and especially when we're talking about cleanliness, if the temple were built, then we would all go and have mikvahs all the time. Baptism was a specific, basically it was to show that our life is completely different now. We have accepted upon ourselves the Messiah. And I tried to, let's see here, I got a clip. This now, the gentleman who's speaking in this, I don't know who he is. He seems like a genuine fellow. He has a ministry to homeless people. I don't know if he at one time was homeless or not. He seems like he has a real heart for the Lord. However, I disagree with him theologically. And this is what he says about baptism.
Circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with your salvation.
Okay, hang on just a sec. I agree and I disagree. Circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with your salvation. I would disagree with that. I would say that circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with your justification. Right?
True that.
Because your salvation as a whole entails many different things, and that includes justification, sanctification, being part of the covenant people. Being part of the covenant people has requirements. Sanctification has requirements. We do things to be sanctified. Justification is by faith through grace alone. There's absolutely nothing we can do to become justified in the eyes of the Messiah. Okay? The only thing that we can do is have faith that God gives us, and that is reckoned to us as righteousness. Okay? So I understand what he's saying. I know I'm splitting hairs here, but when he says circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with salvation, I would correct that and say circumcision has nothing to do with justification. But I understand what he's saying, so let's listen again.
Circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with your salvation. It was for not the Gentile, it was for the Jewish people. It was...
Of course, we disagree on that. Hang on just a sec. Let me get this up here, too.
Well, and the idea it was for. Not only is he saying Jewish versus un-Jewish, which is anachronism, but he's also saying was for, which is...
Oh, yeah, just wait. Okay, let's start it over again. I apologize, people.
Circumcision has absolutely nothing to do with your salvation. It was for not the Gentile, it was for the Jewish people. It was one of many Old Testament requirements that ended the moment Yeshua died for our sins. Circumcision had to do with the Old Testament relationship between God and the Jewish people. It has nothing to do with your salvation or his. Now let's go on to the second part of your question. It's about baptism. We do not belong to a church here in Texas, and I want to know if home baptism is possible. Indeed, home baptism is possible, Brent. I want you to understand that. Yes, indeed. I've heard you say that baptism is essential, and I want to do all I can.
Okay, now the reason I included that end part is because he says that baptism is essential. But he says that circumcision is not. I know where all of our Christian brothers and sisters are going. They're saying, oh, what about Galatians? What about Galatians? We can talk about Galatians and the idea of circumcision. However, I think that a lot of the Christian brothers and sisters that we have mix this up. People believe that for some reason God, although He gave the sign of the covenant, which I guess is because they believe that covenant ended at the death of the Messiah, but God gave circumcision as a sign of the covenant. Why? Why did God? And we've talked about circumcision on this show before, and this is really Rob's expertise. Circumcision was a sign of the...
Actually, I am not a Moel.
Well, okay, fair enough.
That's not my expertise.
Well, but the study of circumcision, I would say that you've studied circumcision quite a bit.
Circumcision was defined differently by different Jewish groups.
Correct.
They all weighed it differently. They all gave it different ideological significance. So when Paul writes about circumcision, that's one of the things we need to remember, is you had different Jewish groups promoting different types of meaning and significance associated with it. Paul takes it right back to Scripture in Romans 4, and he defines what circumcision is, what it means, according to Torah, according to Messiah, not according to all the different things that other groups were doing. And he does not say it's an entry requirement. Paul never teaches that at all. Other Jewish groups were. Paul says, no, it's not even true. Don't even go there. Faith is the entry. That's and then once it's like faith or no faith. That's the issue. If you have saving faith, you're in. It doesn't matter what some group of Jewish rabbis are telling you.
Yeah, being circumcised to convert is worthless. But let's look at circumcision for just a second and what it is. Abraham had to cut away the flesh, and why? Because his wife was beyond the years of having children, and Isaac, a type of the Messiah, or looking forward to a shadow of what the Messiah would be, he came from a woman who was unnatural, and Abraham unnatural for her to have children, I should say. Abraham
doubly so.
Yeah.
She was akara is the Hebrew word. She was barren, and she was beyond
the years.
Years. So doubly.
And what does he do? He tries to do it himself. He tries to go into his wife's maidservant and do it that way. And God said no, wrong.
Yeah.
And what the sign of circumcision is the sign of the Messiah. The Messiah would come not by the natural means of procreation, and so we cut away that flesh as a sign that the Messiah would come through an unnatural means which is that there was no man involved.
This is something God has to do. That's why it's a sign of faith.
Exactly.
That's why it's associated with faith. Paul makes that clear. Romans 4 is where it's all. That's the true biblical apostolic position.
But it's the sign of the Messiah. Why wouldn't you want the sign of the Messiah in your anyway? Okay, so not only that, but it was a sign from the parents that they had faith, not of the child. It did not show the child's faith; it showed the parents' faith.
You can Google it.
And so, what is baptism? Baptism is a sign of the individual's faith that they have taken on personally the covenant. That they have taken.
Here's the thing, Matthew 28. It's a baptism into a discipleship, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we're also given that it's in the name of the Father and the Son and the Ruach HaKodesh.
Yeah.
That's a very different purpose of a mikvah. It's a very focused, purposeful thing. The reason later in the early rabbinic, I think it's in the Tosefta, the rabbis talk about circumcision. Well, why is it okay for a Samaritan to circumcise an Israelite? Or a Jew, basically. And the rabbis say, yes, if there is another rabbi present, or if there's another Jew present. Why? because if he does it without any supervision, he might baptize Ace Shem Har Gerizim unto the name of Mount Gerizim. That is, baptize him with the purpose of Samaritan theology behind it. And so, or not baptize, circumcise, if I said baptize. And so I said Ace Shem. I said, I mixed my Hebrew and my Greek. It's L'Shem. In Hebrew, it's L'Shem Har. In Greek, it's to the name of. So it's specifically a baptism into a discipleship. Matthew 28 tells us that. It's a new life, and it's got a very specific set of priorities. Messiah being the master, and it's going to be a different. It's going to not going to, what I want to say, fall down at these other pressure groups, these other Jewish pressure groups. It's not going to like, oh, okay, I guess I'm wrong. I guess I need to do what the rabbi's oral Torah says because, boy, that's not it.